we're very fortunate to have Grant David Elliott, who was born on 21st March 1979, is a former New Zealand cricketer who played all formats of the game, primarily a batting all-rounder. Elliott contributed a man of the match performance to provide entrance to New Zealand's first ever World Cup final by beating South Africa in 2015. Domestically, he played for Wellington Fibers. And he is son of the South African plastic surgeon. He attended his college in Scythians College. Notable cricketing alumni include Michael Lum, Roy Pioneer, David Turbuck, David Rundle, and Kagiso Rabeda. I think his bio is so much, but there was something which I think I had to tell you, because he debuted with 67 in 1996-97 at Gorton, where on the advice of his captain, former New Zealand Test skipper Ken Rutherford, who saw the quota system possibly blocking his path to higher honours. So Elliott left his native Johannesburg in 2001. He played one match for South Africa against India before he qualified to play for New Zealand in 2007. Called up to the national team in early 2008 during England's tour, he made his test debut against England in the third test in Napier, replacing Jacob Oram. Elliott has gone on to also make his ODI debut for New Zealand against England, taking 3 wickets. In his second game, he scored his maiden of the ODI 50. His maiden ODI century was in the third game of Chappell Hadley series, scoring 115 against Australia at the SCG on Sunday, 8 February 2009. He also did well in the Champions Trophy in South Africa in 2009. He also took a 4-wicket haul against England at the Wanderers, which actually helped New Zealand to qualify for the semi-finals. And in the semi-finals, he played an innings of 75 not out to take the Blackcaps to the victory against Pakistan. In terms of the world record, Elliott scored his second ODI century when Sri Lanka toured New Zealand prior to 2015 Cricket World Cup. Elliott and Luke Ronchi both broke several batting records as the pair lifted New Zealand from 93.5 to a commanding 360 of their 50 overs. Their stand of 267 is the highest 6th wicket partnership in the ODIs. In the inaugural Pakistan Super League in 2016, he along with Zulfiq Babar set the highest 10th wicket partnership in any forms of T20. And his finest moment, however, came in 2015 World Cup semi-final against South Africa, where he scored an unbeaten 84 and was adjudged the man of the match. We are very lucky to have you. He hit the winning 6 of the second to the last ball of the innings from Dale Steyn and created history by putting New Zealand into their first ever Cricket World Cup final. In the final against Australia, Elliott top scored for New Zealand, scoring 83 runs. So after the World Cup, Elliott was named in the 2020 side in 2016, and since then he has changed his path from the cricketing to coaching and to the other areas. Early on, Ken Rutherford noted his strong batting technique while also noting his occasional lack of self-belief. Former coach of the Wellington Fibers, Anthony Stewart, commented that was a tough cookie and praised his commitment and high work ethic. Glenn Turner, former convener of the national selection panel, considered Elliott a thoughtful character whose offside play was exceptional, such as his hallmark shot, the lofted drive over extra cover. He played for the Weybridge Cricket Club in Surrey Championship 2018. Elliott is the maker of the Buzz cricket bat. It was used by himself, David Bowden, Mark Houghton, Leighton Morgan, Chris Nevin, and Luke Woodcock. Luke Woodcock scored 220 with it in a first-class game. And since then, he was injured. He had to take up into a business, and right now he's the general manager of a New Zealand cricket. He's the general manager of the International with Technology News Business and Sport Cricket, which offers a digital platform for sport that combines competition management and administration software with live scoring and statistics for cricket clubs, as well as combining video indexing and live streaming. Indeed, we are honored to have you, Elliott, because you are the one who's going to be a change maker for us. And you're going to teach our peers and our children the life skills. On behalf of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, Halo India, Lakshmibai National College of Physical Education, and all the participants here, a warm welcome to you. I also welcome our panelists. We have Biju George with us, who is one of the coach with the Sports Authority of India, who has produced a lot of internationals, and also took the Indian women team to reach the finals. Biju George, a warm welcome to you. I also like to welcome Soni Cheruvathur, who was the former Ranji Trophy captain of Kerala, Dilip Trophy player, and he's the current coach of the Ranji team. He's also the Start Sports commentator as an expert. A warm welcome to you, Soni. I also welcome Chauhan sir as an expert who's here, Kalpana ma'am, Dr. G. Kishore, all the members of the media, and Sujit, and all the participants, a warm welcome to one and all. Now, may I request our superstar for the session, please. So please.
Thanks, Risha. I didn't know if you meant me. There's so many superstars in the panel over here, so I wasn't sure if that was me. Hopefully it is. But that was a very impressive introduction. Thank you very much for that. I think one of the things we're going to talk about today is, you know, around sport and developing character. And the funny thing is when you read out those achievements, they're all cricketing achievements. And I never wanted cricket to define me as a person. I wanted to be defined as someone who their teammates would finish playing with and they'd go, you know, Grant was someone who played for the team. He was a team player, a great guy, committed, disciplined, all those attributes that you can take through to life. And where we can get caught up a lot of the time is we get caught up on the technical aspects of things. And a little bit of the, you know, the romance of the sport, which is, you know, scoring 100 in front of a Eden Park crowd, you know, or Eden Gardens crowd on test debut. But we fail to coach those elements of that are character driven. And I think, you know, I'm all about character. I think that sport can really be the vehicle that can help us as coaches and participants and parents, teachers, to help children develop those character traits that they need. The character traits that take them through as a successful business person, or as a successful parent, or even, you know, someone who is, you know, developing communities around them. So I think that sport has the ability to create a global citizen. And what does that global citizen look like? Now, what I'm going to give you insight into is I'll share my screen, and hopefully this isn't going to be death by PowerPoint, but I've got a few slides that I'll try and go through. And what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about leadership. I believe that through leadership, we can create teamwork and culture. But within that teamwork and culture, you need specific traits that help you become a really good team player. So I'm going to start at teamwork. I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully this all works. I had a technology breakdown earlier, so let me share that and see. I'm going to be jumping between two screens.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, it's great.
That looks good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I've got something here that I call the corporate athlete. Now, I believe that there's 5 stages to gaining success. And I think that these 5 stages, they relate to, you know, all ages in a way. Well, mainly, I guess, teenage to adulthood. But I believe that, you know, there's a beginning, there's time for action, and I'll put some bullet points in each of those steps that go towards success. And we're talking about leadership here now. So it's how we can help individuals grow as leaders. So firstly, the beginning. I believe that everyone needs to set goals. Now those goals, they might be around the technical, the tactical, the mental, the physical. There's all those 5 pillars that we look at, and not just high performance. This is relating to everyone. We're trying to grow our sportsmen and women as people. We want them to be, fantastic mothers, fathers, and contribute to community. So goal setting, I think, is paramount. You have to know what you want. You have to be passionate about what you do, and you have to aim for world class. I think if you can aim the best that you can possibly be, and that's aiming the top. If you're aiming world class and you don't reach it, you're still going to be decent. Now, I think I made a mistake early on in my career where my goal was to play for New Zealand. So, playing for New Zealand, I was kind of up there. World class was all the way up there. So because I was aiming for New Zealand, I reached my goal, and then I was like, well, what's next? Where do I go next? And I struggled for maybe 2 years of thinking about, where I wanted to go. Now, I could have worked on myself as an individual and those character traits. So I believe that that's the first stage anyway, is where you want to go, what you want to do, and aim for the best. Then we get taking responsibility, time for action. So that's cultivating the right attitude. We all know what that right attitude looks like as a team player. Working hard, working smart, and persevering. Resilience, which we'll get back to. So all those character traits that come into the fore. Trust with your teammates, important. Finding and mirroring your mentors. If we can find a mentor and we can work out the good points that they have and the attributes they have that we want to emulate and mirror, then we've got a great chance of actually becoming great or becoming, who we want to be. But a lot of the time, the mentors actually will mirror the attributes that we want from great global citizens. And I think that working hard and working smart, it's not the person that necessarily is doing the most work. But sometimes we only work out later on. It's working a little bit smarter and having quality instead of quantity. Trust is a foundation that every team needs to have. And I think that trust makes us accountable to our roles. The next step after time for action is strong character traits. So the first 2 steps, I almost feel like you can, in a way, you can be quite insular and you can work on yourself. So it's that time for like self-reflection. What are the skills I need? Who's going to help me get there? And how can I then grow those skills? Once you've got those skills, then it's looking about the attitude and the character traits, growing yourself as a person. So resilience and grit, failing fast and moving on. Now, this is a massive one. I'm huge on this because in this day and age, we know that there's 55% of the jobs in the next 15 years will be gone as we know it. There will be job creation, but we're going to have to be innovative. We're going to have to be able to adapt to change. If you don't have players, students, or ourselves that can adapt to change, we're going to struggle. Once again, it comes up cultivating the right attitude. That attitude of, I want to be here. I'm coachable. Someone that's coachable, someone that gives energy to their teammates. It's so important. I call people that don't give energy to teammates, I call them energy vampires. And I want people who are quite consistent, or teammates that are quite consistent. They come into the change room and I know what sort of attitude they're going to have. I know that they're going to be the sort of person that I can rely on. And that's the sort of attitude we want. Resilience comes up again, and adapting to change. So we had the beginning, then it was, cultivating that right attitude. And now we're looking at teamwork. So it's how can I become a great team player? And something we used in the New Zealand team was selflessness. This was a huge characteristic that we looked at. And we thought to ourselves, well, we want players and teammates who are going to play for the team. We don't want people who are selfish in their approach. And sometimes our coaching can actually push players to think too insular. Teamwork is all around us. Once we finish our sports or finish school and we get into a company or corporate, we're going to have to work with others. So, you know, communication, collaboration, we need to build those people and those team skills around us. And a nice story about the World Cup 2015, that was probably the best, most high performing team I've ever played with. And probably the thing that was really indicative of our team was that there were 4 players that were told they were never going to play during the World Cup. We were going to stick with the same team the whole way through. Now, those 4 players, they sat on the sideline and they were basically water boys. So it was Nathan McCullum, Kyle Mills, Mitch McClenaghan, and Tom Latham. And not once did you see them really disappointed. Not once did you see them moan and groan or give negative energy towards the team. They were the sort of players that were, if anything, they were really upbeat and, you know, encouraging the guys around them. And I think that showed what sort of level of selflessness we had in the team. Amazing team players. And in this day and age, I believe, you know, not just with sports. I mean, with sports, I believe if you're going to be an individual and just worry about how many hundreds and wickets you take, there's plenty of other individual sports out there. You can go and play tennis. You can go and be a marathon runner, a sprinter. Cricket and team sports require team players. And that team ethic, I think, is so paramount when we're coaching. We need to be able to bring out the moments in the games and sports that we play that exhibited character. And if we can, you know, bring up those moments, a lot of the time in the change rooms with poor teams that I was involved in, they would celebrate, you know, the player that scored 100. Yes, it's great, well batted. But also they'll bring up the person that says, hey, he gave his wicket away at the end of the innings. He was selfless enough to try and get the team more runs and perished with the cause of the team. So bringing up those aspects and getting our learners to understand that it's not just the person that scores 100, but the person that helps those people around them. That's going to help build communities. Then there's becoming a leader. So I believe that's the next step. I almost think that, you know, you develop the skill, you develop the character, and now there's an opportunity for you to lead. Now, there's different ways that you can lead. You can lead by actions, you can lead by words. The best leaders are the ones that lead by action and words. Difficult to find. I find that someone like Brendan McCullum, he was well spoken, but also led from the front and easy for people to follow him. Kane Williamson, however, not so much big on words, but big on actions. And trying to guide our learners to actually understand that, you know, this is eventually what they need to do. They need to be able to, all of these aspects that you see over there, they need to be able to exhibit that. But it's also to help become the mentor that you once looked at level 2. When we spoke about mirroring and finding mentors that you aspire to. There was 2, maybe 3 mentors that I think of back in my career. One was my first ever cricket coach. I stayed in touch with him the whole way through my career. And if anything, we never spoke about cricket. We only spoke about my attitude. A lot of the time when I phoned him, I was probably moaning about something that had happened to me. And he said, well, you're just negative. You know, that's the wrong attitude to have. You need to have a positive attitude. Later on, when we become a leader, that's when we become the mentor. And we need to help guide the team in a way that we feel is going to help them grow, not just as players, but as people. Mike Hessen was a fantastic leader. What he did was he created the environment for us to learn and become leaders. And I think as coaches and as teachers, that's one of the most important things, is actually to create a fertile environment for our learners and our students to learn and play and to become better people. So over here, I've said appreciate and find perspective. I think perspective is huge. Perspective is something which brings humility. And I think when we think of leaders around the world at the moment, I think that there's a number of leaders that we can think of that don't exhibit humility. And I think if you have perspective, I think it's very easy to exhibit humility. Perspective is something as a leader which helps you realize that what you're doing is not the most important thing in the world and doesn't make you the most important. You need a team around you to keep grounded, but perspective for me, while I was playing, I used to use two mantras. One of them was I wanted my two children to be absolutely proud of me when they watched me play cricket. And also, cricket didn't matter. The sport actually didn't matter. What mattered is that I was a good human while I was doing it. So I wanted to be, I guess, leave a legacy and be respected. Once we reach the top of the table, success. This is when everything clicks. We've become a leader. We've done everything we want to do. Now, success, this is when the ability to perform in the moment. But you haven't finished yet. As a leader now, you have to lead succession. So this is looking at the next crop of people that can lead, the next crop of players. Enjoying it. I think enjoyment is absolutely crucial. If we're not enjoying and passionate about things, then it's very difficult for us to perform well. And now you've got to deal with the expectation. So helping learners understand that when success comes as a person, the reason why they've got there is because of the character they've shown. Bringing up those character traits, and continue learning with those character traits, continue growing them. And that for me, I think, is those 5 steps to building a corporate athlete. And I think that relates to any age, as I was saying. I'm now going to try and pick up a slide here. I'm going to break it up with this video. Hopefully you can see this.
Here we go, Dale Steyn, 6th deliveries. Vittoria on strike. He plays and misses. Elliott runs the by. Beautifully done.
Seems to be buffering a bit. I might just...
5 for it. And Elliott is back on 5 from 2 to win the game. A boundary will tie it. That's what it's come down to, folks. They want Elliott to have one. They're happy for him to have one.
Does he take the one?
He might not want to take the one.
Okay, is everyone still there? Kind of. That normally stops with five of 2 balls anyway. What I wanted to go into was that moment there. That was the World Cup semi-final where that was probably the most pressure moment I've ever felt in my career. And I stood there, and I don't think I would have accomplished that moment had I Someone's raised their hand, sorry. Hang on, where am I?
We'll take the questions.
Questions we could do later.
We will do the questions later, I think.
Was that, I saw someone raised a hand.
No, that I think because people want to ask questions, so that will do later once your presentation.
Okay, good. I didn't know where everyone was on the screen because I just had a screen in front of me. We'll keep going. I don't think that video played very well. It was buffering, so I'll leave the videos out. Okay. So let's continue. So I think I was discussing earlier, I was discussing how leadership creates teamwork and culture. And within teamwork and culture, you need to try and develop the individual. The individual needs resilience. It needs growth mindset, self-reflection, selflessness, and perspective. Now, I believe that all of those are paramount to an individual who wants to be a team player. I think those are huge qualities. We go to resilience. I like quotes. So triumph is not in the victory, but in the struggle. Now, cricket is a game that you need to learn about how to fail. It's not about how to succeed. It's about failure, how you deal with failure. Now, an interesting statistic, I don't know if you've heard of him, but Sachin Tendulkar, he's obviously one of the best players in the world. Now, Sachin, he would perform once every 3 innings. Now, as a batsman, success would be 50 or 100. So he's scoring a 50 or 100 once every 3 times he bats, which means that he's succeeding 33% of the time. That means that 66% of the time he's failing. Now, to come to your team or get into the dressing room where you're having a bad day, 7 out of 10, or coming to work, to your desk, where you're failing 7 days out of 10, it's very difficult to have a great attitude. And that's the key to unlocking a lot of your talent or your potential, is learning from failures. Not picking out as coaches, picking out the failures of children. It's more about what happened there, how can you do it differently? Or whatever you're doing is not working. What is it that we can change in preparation so that that doesn't happen again? Another quote I love is Michael Jordan, who's massive at the moment. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. So a very cool quote from Michael Jordan. Another mentor or someone that I really loved as a child: do not judge me by my success, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up. So important for our kids and young children now, because I feel that with social media, I feel that all young learners think that success is a straight line graph. You succeed and you succeed and you succeed again, and you just keep going up. But when we look at that graph and we look at all of our failures, in actual fact, the thing that make us and mold us are our failures and our learnings. Those people that adapt to change and learn are the ones that will win in the end. Growth mindset's huge. I know that they're teaching this amongst young learners in New Zealand now, but I think the ability to have a growth mindset is something that can make you coachable and help you learn. So it's our choices that show that we truly are far more than our abilities. J.K. Rowling. Now, a growth mindset. Here's some in a speech that we might have for a growth mindset compared to a fixed mindset. Someone who's got a growth mindset will say, failure is an opportunity to grow. They'll say, I can learn to do anything I want. Challenges help me to grow. My efforts and my attitude determine my abilities. Feedback is constructive being coachable. I like to try new things, not scared of taking risks, getting better. I'm inspired by the success of others. If we have a fixed mindset, a person with a fixed mindset will say failure is the limit of my abilities. They believe that they're born with it. They don't believe that they can get any better. I think that's utter rubbish. I think that anyone can become as good as they want to become. The silver bullet lies with us. They'll also say, I'm either good or I'm not. My abilities are unchanging. I can either do it or I can't. I don't like to be challenged. I'm not coachable. So when a coach might bring up something that the child doesn't believe they can do it and they don't like to be challenged, they just want to feel success all the time. My potential is predetermined. When I'm frustrated, I give up. Feedback and criticism are personal. I stick to what I know. So all of those, we obviously want someone who's living in that growth mindset, and we want to develop children that have that growth mindset, the ability to do whatever they want to do, learn whatever they want to. I also believe that our thoughts affect our behavior. Behavior affect our emotions, and our emotions affect our thoughts. So something that we get taught as professional cricketers is body language. Body language is so important. And this can help, because we're talking about it, it can help behavior, character. If our body language is good, it might actually help us grow the right character. So bringing up, what does a good body language look like? And what you tend to do when you're victorious, when you get 100, you push your arms up like that, or you hold your helmet and your bat in both hands, and you're in this victorious, huge, you make your body huge. These are called power poses. And for any of you that haven't seen it, there's a TED talk by Amy Cuddy. Here she is over here. And she talks about power poses and how it can make us or give us more of a chance to succeed as individuals. So now leadership and selflessness. I've got here the 5 dysfunctions of a poor team. Now, if we can flip that around, now this is by Patrick Lencioni. I believe that as a leader, and this is as a coach or a captain, someone who wants to create even quality characteristics within family, I reckon that this pyramid makes so much sense to me, and I've seen it work. If you can flip it around, we're going to talk about teams that don't perform. What you find in teams that don't perform is an absence of trust. They don't trust each other. Now, in a good team, conversely, you want to build trust. And the way that you do that is you become vulnerable as a player or as a person. If we're vulnerable, we're not scared of making mistakes. That means that we're going to take the courage to take risks. So we are going to fail. And if we trust that our teammates and our coach and our parents are going to allow us to fail and not get angry, then we're going to be able to reach our full potential. Fear of conflict is another one. Everyone keeps quiet. They don't want any conflict. However, conflict helps us debate issues. If we can debate issues, we can innovate. We can develop better strategy. And you also have to have that trust of everyone to be able to speak out, and that vulnerability. Lack of commitment. This is when, once we've had maybe a bit of a discussion about something and we think about the direction we want to go, or you've coached someone and you go, that's the goals we're going to go to, they might disagree with it, but they don't say it. So in a good team, we have that commitment. Once we decide that's where we're going, we all agree, and that's where we go. In a dysfunctional team, we have avoidance of accountability. You might be given a role, but you might blame it on something else. So it's about taking control of your role. And the last one is inattention to results. This is making sure that you're open to feedback from your teammates, your coach, your parents, but also looking at details of things, looking at not brushing over the fact that you might see that as a cricketer, you get out LBW every time, but you're just going to have a blind spot to that and go, oh, well, those were good deliveries. You have to have that attention to results. Okay, that's, I'm going to end it there. I think these questions I'm going to say to ask yourself, how do you react to failure? How do you find perspective in your daily life? What's your attitude when you're asked to carry the water for your team, do the horrible jobs? And how are you going to lead through actions this year? Thanks. Should I stop my screen sharing there, Ishad?
Yes, please.
I can send you all these slides as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Sujit.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Grant. It was a wonderful session. So I think we can already take a question. You can take from the question box and start asking a few questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Grant, there was a question by Pradeep. He's asking, what was the mindset you had in 2015 World Cup semi-final winning movement against South Africa? And what was the loss against Australia? How do you encourage players to come out of this situation where you have, on one side, you had a success, the other side, you had this thing? And how do you manage these expectations?
I think for me, I had perspective, and I spoke about perspective. For me, cricket was never going to define me. Those moments were never going to define me as a person. I feel like if you have strong character, that's what counts. You're going to do your best. Some days you win, some days you lose, and especially in cricket where you've got an opposition. There's a lot of things that are out of your control. And that's why, I mean, no one has been able to perfect this game of cricket. It's a difficult game. So over time, you learn to deal with your failures and your successes. But I think if there's one attribute besides perspective, I think it would be having quite a level mind. So when you have your successes, you don't get too high. I'm not I'm the greatest player in the world. This is brilliant. I'm getting endorsements. I deserve all of this. It's just staying level. You celebrate that victory, of course, but you don't get too high. And the same as when you have failure, you don't get too low. If you have too many highs and lows, it's very difficult for you to perform consistently. So what I would say is celebrate your victories, but learn from them. And don't get too down with your failures, but learn from them. So always learning from failure and success.
Yeah. So Sujit, are you asking the next question?
Yeah, so one of the questions, Grant, people are asking, I mean, they asked in the previous this thing that if you have a, let's say, basketball, this thing, and there are about 10 players and 2-3 players don't get to play a set of matches. You also gave that example of 3 players not getting a chance to play. So how do you communicate that? I mean, not in the context of international player, but in the context of smaller children. There's a lot of pressure from parents who actually say that my child should be actually playing the matches. But the coach is clear that the child cannot play the matches. So how do you actually set expectation? What is the kind of communication that you typically do with parents?
I think that in New Zealand, it's quite different because when you're dealing with young teams, and I mean, what sort of age are we talking about here, Sujit?
This would be about 10 to 12 years. The middle school.
Yeah. So it is kind of that age where they're starting to get a little bit serious. But I think at the start of the season, I think it's very important for coaches to lay out, the guidelines. I do think that everyone needs a chance. There will be times where players will sit out, but I mean, what you want to look at is the attitude of the child. And, there's going to be failures. And I think that it's clear to tell the parents about that we're trying to build character in children and they're going to have failures along the way. So they will sit out. There will be times that they sit out, but that's a time for them to show how good they are as a team player. Whether it's taking water to the guys, helping them with throwdowns, helping their teammates, despite the feeling of, disappointment. They need to try and push that disappointment aside and still become a really good team player. If they can do that, that's a huge lesson. So, you know, parents aside, I know how parents can be quite pushy, especially in New Zealand as well. But I think laying out those guidelines early on and letting them know that it's an opportunity for the child to grow. And I think that parents can actually help their children, because the last thing they want to hear in their vehicle or on their way home, the walk home, is the parent going, that was ridiculous because you were left out. Because then that's exactly what the child will think. And he's not going to learn from that moment, not become a better character.
I guess, I mean, the problem is a little bit higher in India because of the population. I mean, you have a set number of games that you can play. I think the pressures are high.
So just one question, please.
Yeah.
Grant, this is a question from John K. Abraham. What are the major points an upcoming cricketer should keep in mind to maintain consistency and pressure?
Stable mindset. So I think that relates to...
What would you tell to the upcoming cricketer so that they can always keep a stable mindset? This is one of the questions.
I think to say that cricket doesn't define you, your performances don't define you as a person. They shouldn't dictate your mood. You know, when I look at Kane Williamson and Hashim Amla, who I've shared a change room with, whether they score 100 or they score 0, they're the same. They're exactly the same. And I think that goes back to you as a person. Like, cricket won't change, or sport shouldn't change who you are. So helping learners develop that knowledge of, you know, what is their character? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? The sooner you can find your strengths and weaknesses, the sooner you can actually become consistent. And when I say strengths and weaknesses, that's in technical, tactical, but also those characters. I mean, I know that I'm a people pleaser. I'll say yes to everything, but sometimes I have to say no. And that puts a lot of pressure on me. I feel pressure and expectation. So, you know, that's a big weakness of mine. But, you know, sometimes we learn this later on in life. But what we need to do is we need to try and put the head of a 40-year-old person on the body of a 19-year-old person. And if we can do that, then, you know, we're going to create superstars, I think.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So just, are you
one question by Ganesh. He's asking that how do you develop resilience and mental strength in players to handle pressure? So,
well, I think the first thing is not being scared to make mistakes. You know, you have to create an environment where it's all right to make mistakes, where it's a learning environment. Once that happens, I think that, you know, then that mindset, that growth mindset that we have, we'll know that it's just a learning curve. It's just a hurdle that we have to get over. We're not going to succeed every time. That's where cricket, I just think, is a great game. I mean, it's just, you know, you can just see children growing with it because it's so difficult. It is such a challenging sport. And because it's so challenging, that's almost the romance of it. You know, you want to try and beat the game, and you'll never beat the game, unfortunately. So I think acknowledging that and also bringing up learnings and failures, you know, like, look at so-and-so, little Johnny or Pradeep did this last game. We worked on this, and now look at what happened this game. That's a lesson, and, you know, they're going to be going forward. They're improving. If we're learning all the time, we're going to improve, and we need to keep learning those lessons. So it's all about learning, not bringing up the results. So not bringing up that, you know, so-and-so got, you know, 100 all the time. Not bringing up the technical stuff, but bringing up the character that they show, and those soft skills that we call them.
I think the points that you talked about, I think the example of Sachin and Michael Jordan that you gave, I mean, that actually puts a lot of things in perspective in terms of failures. That there are more number of failures than success actually for any player. Yeah. So one question that people have, Vedanta, he is asking, how would you recollect your experience at that moment with 5 runs and 2 balls? So everyone wants to. There are a lot of people who are actually talking about it, and everyone remembers you for that, and just what everyone wants to know. How was that? How did you?
Yeah. So I went through a bit of a tough time when I got called into the World Cup. One of my family members fell ill, and I was going to potentially not play in the World Cup. I said, no, I'm going to, stay with the family. But the family said to me, no, this is your dream. You need to play. So I thought to myself, well, I need to try and find the enjoyment, because I wasn't enjoying it. And, this relates to everything, to coaching, to playing as a child. Sometimes life outside of what you are doing is not going well. Family illnesses, financial, whatever it may be, your own illness. But sometimes no one knows. In a high-performing team, people will know because you'll speak about it. And that's what happened with me. I spoke to management about it. They gave me 2 games away for when we played Sri Lanka before the World Cup. And I thought exactly what I said to you before. I had perspective. I was thinking about, I want my kids to be proud of me when they watch me. So I want to play the game in the right spirit. But also, cricket doesn't matter. If I score 100, no one's going to, read the paper and worry, or I score 0. No one's going to remember it. But funny enough, they obviously do remember that World Cup final. So it's quite ironic. But at that moment, I was just thinking, I've got no fear of failure. At that ball, though, because I'm an overthinker, suddenly I started thinking. I saw my sister in the crowd. And I told her 8 months prior to the game, I said she had organized her wedding on the World Cup final day. And I said to her, well, don't worry. The selectors told me I'm, a replacement player. And also New Zealand's never got into the final. So I think you're safe with the date. Now I'm there, standing there. If I hit the ball and we win the game, I'm not going to her wedding. So I saw her in the crowd and I was like, oh dear. And then the other thing I thought about was I didn't want to be that person that walked into a room and they went, oh, there's the guy that lost us the World Cup semi-final. So what I've done in my career all the time is I've always fought my way out of things. So I grit my teeth, started breathing, using the mental skills that we get given as sportsmen, which is breathing technique, clearing your mind. And I just went, well, I've got no choice here. I've just got to hit it. So luckily enough, he bowled back of a length and I hit it for 6. And the feeling I had afterwards, it looked like an exhilaration that I'd done it, but it was more relief. I was just relieved because it was such a precious situation. I was just relieved that I'd accomplished that moment. But for my teammates especially, I mean, to see how much joy it brought to a country and to my teammates, Absolutely. That was a very special moment.
Yeah, I think that was a very special moment, and everyone. I think for all of us, even watching in India, I think all of us remember that moment. One of the questions is basically about how important is it to become a good human being as a player when you evolve from player to. So, what is the importance of becoming a good human being, and from a coach, what is the kind of value education that they can imbibe in the players?
Well, I think that relates to the environment that you're creating as a coach and as a captain. You're instilling the culture of players that you want. I mean, there's no point me finishing my career scoring 40 international hundreds and everyone thinks I'm a complete idiot. Or, they regard me as being selfish. I think that players need to realize that they need to leave a legacy. They need to be someone that is respected, renowned, someone that exhibits the character that, is something that people look up to, because later on they're going to become a parent maybe, or a leader in their community, or a manager in, a workplace. And I think that if we can instill that leadership and those characteristics by picking up on them, so not just the technical stuff and the scores that we see in sports or those brilliant sporting moments, but the moments where someone helps their teammate off the floor, someone helps them learn something, they ask questions, those moments are the ones that we pick up. The more that we measure that, and there was a psychologist that said, whatever we measure will get better. I mean, that sounds, like it's obvious to us. But in cricket, we measure average, hundreds, 50s, wickets, strike rate. So that's what players look at. But when we start measuring character by bringing it up in team talks and chats as a team, then suddenly, because you're measuring that and you hold that important as a coach, I think players will automatically pick up on it and start thinking about it and reflecting on it.
So, Grant, it was wonderful. You're leaving a legacy. It's going to be a grand legacy because that's a great thing. May I now introduce our panelist, Soni Chervattu, who's a former Ranji captain of Kerala, Dilip Trophy player, current coach of the Ranji Trophy team, start sport commentator and expert. Soni, for your remarks, please.
Hi, Grant. I was one of those lucky guys who was there in the commentary box when you were hitting that six.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's great.
I was doing it in my local language in the Star Sports office there. To be honest, I had a soft corner towards South Africa, and I was thinking, when you guys born there, I don't know what is going to his mind. So it was wonderful to hear it from your just how tense it was, and I was also feeling the tension. And, somebody recorded it and gave it to me. I was a little out of my normal stuff once I was doing that commentary. But again, I know this is something I also always look forward. Like more than success, failures will be the ones that will be teaching you, or you'll be learning more from your failures. So it was nice that you touched upon the point, and it's really I can vouch for from my own experiences. And something about carrying water. We as a state in cricket, it's not a very big state like in Mumbai or Karnataka or Bangalore as such. But we have two international cricketers, two of them fast bowlers. I was also a fast bowler, so almost my age. So I had to carry water for around 5 to 6 years. So whatever I have achieved after that, even captaining the state, I always leave it to those experiences where I was giving water from Kerala to north, south, everywhere. India is a big country, and I was traveling all around carrying water. It was not nice to others, but I was enjoying it to the fullest, and I was having a feeling I was helping my teammates. Whatever success I had in cricket, it was all because of those experiences where, when I became the leader, I had that trust among the teammates. So nice that you touched upon those points, and it's good to know that there are people who believe in the same philosophy. Thanks once again, Elliott, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Soni.
Thanks, Soni.
Yeah. We have Mr. Viju George, who is the coach of the Sports Authority of India cricket team. He's produced a number of internationals, and also he took the India women team to the finals. So, Viju, for your remarks, please.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to ask you a question. I really appreciate the session. It re-emphasized what I always think, that it's the quality of the struggle which defines you as a sportsman and as a human being. Success or failure is relative. But I wanted to ask you one question which has been haunting me. Like 2017 World Cup, as the women's side, we reached the final. They just crossed it. We had just 20 runs to win. We got 7 wickets in hand. The top batsmen were batting at the crease, and from there we crumbled. How do you handle that particular moment before the win, which can define like match? That particular moment, the change in moment, whatever it is. Like we had no hurdles in front. We just watched it, we just crumbled. And like if we 2 years down the line, and when the team gets together, we start to find what went wrong. Can you put a handle to that?
I think it's a good question. I think everyone sort of wants to know the answer to those moments in the game where you can just see that there's, whether it's mental or technical, everyone asks those questions. But I think the first thing is identifying the moment. So that's why I think, this is my opinion, you know how in T20 cricket, everyone goes, oh, we need young players and this and that. We played an old team here in Wellington. They called us Dad's Army. We were so old. We were all like, you know, almost hitting 40. And the press was going, oh, Dad's Army this and Dad's Army that. And we lost our first 4 games. And then we went all the way through. We didn't lose a game. We won the competition. We had the worst fielding team. I mean, there were guys that had shoulder injuries, whatever. But the experience of the players is what got us through. And I think to identify moments, you need to have a certain level of experience. And also, you have to be thinking about the team. So if you're quite selfish, you'll only think about your own performance. The ability to think about the team and what I need to do in my role now to get the team over the line. So that would go hand in hand. But then the other, what happens after you've identified the moment is the mental calmness, to actually have the calmness to be able to think clearly. And I think that just goes back to the mental tools that we're given as sports people, which is breathing. If we're breathing and we calm, then we can think better. There's more oxygen that goes to the brain. Then you can actually implement the tools that you have. The other thing I used to do, body language I spoke about, helps. But the other thing with body language is a fake smile. Before I used to walk in, I had such a nervous feeling, and I used to look down and I just used to do a big fake smile. I used to go, and that used to tell my body, everything's all right, calm, you know, otherwise, you know, you're like this, your breathing gets short, now you're gone. There's no chance that you haven't given yourself the best chance to perform at that moment in time. And I would think that when a team crumbles or under pressure, there's a pressure moment and we see failure, I believe it's more mental calmness. It's a mental error before a technical error.
Thank you so
Does
much.
that answer the question?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Vijay.
Thanks, Biju. Kalpana, ma'am. Ma'am is a director, professor at the Amity University. Ma'am, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, for a minute, please. I mean, you could just express your views.
Yeah. Thank you all for the wonderful session. I think we just talked about communication in the previous session, but your session took us to the communication with oneself, actually. And I think that is very, very important. And I just want to have one quick question from you. We all talk of adolescents being very, very demotivated from sport. Can you suggest one good strategy of communication to motivate adolescents, and especially girls, if you could stress?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think the only thing I can think of is, I mean, in adolescence, let's admit it, they hardly listen to us. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
The people they listen to are their friends. So I think the main thing that we can do is just create a really good environment, a fertile environment for them. I think the better the environment, the more chance they are going to enjoy it. So, you know, sport's meant to be fun. Like, it is meant to be enjoyable. It's meant to be, you know, smiles on the faces. Sport should be the place where, you know, kids want to go, that they can be themselves. So I think all of those things, like expressing yourself and having no fear, I say that it's the classroom where you can become a global citizen, but it's not a classroom where you should be measured. I don't think measuring is the way to get kids to enjoy sport. I think it should be where you're learning about yourself and learning about team. So in cricket specifically, fielding is great for team because it's a selfless act. No one likes fielding, but you know, you can have a few non-negotiables. Like, I want energy. I want to see energy. I want to see smiling on the face. I want to see support of your teammates. If we can do that and we're happy, we're going to do it for 20 minutes. And that became something that we were big on with New Zealand. Is like, that was the time where the team came together. Batting and bowling was more individual. Fielding was like, it showed how much you cared as a teammate. So yeah, that environment, thinking of ways that they can feed off each other and create that energy and that enjoyment that they want to keep coming back to.
Thank you. Thank you so much for answering.
Chauhan sir.
Sure.
Chauhan sir, He's the director in CBSE school, sir. Johan, sir, are you there?
I'm there.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. For your remarks, please, sir.
A very good afternoon to you, sir. It was a wonderful talk, and we really enjoyed seeing you even on the screen when you were playing cricket against in the World Cup and against various teams. I just wanted to ask you, the children at the school level, normally they are, given a direction that what they have to become. The program which I have taken up is that there should be physical fitness program first, rather than giving an aim to the child to, go for a particular aim in life. Because physical fitness is something which I think everybody requires it, whether he wants to take up sports, whether he wants to go for any other profession. What would you suggest so that in the school system, shouldn't sports become, our fitness program should become the core of education system, so that everybody, irrespective of what do you want to become in life, fitness must be the first thing, and then comes that whatever is your choice of achieving in life. Yeah.
No, it's I agree 100% with you. I was actually, prior to the company I work for now, I started a company which was in education, and what we did was the kids would do, or they were young adults, they were sort of 14 upwards, they would do a psychometric assessment, and that would then tell them what their character was, what their strengths were, and from that they would choose kind of the direction that they wanted to go in. And one of the schools I went to visit, the first thing they did in the morning was physical activity, because that got the mind going. I believe that there should be a day aside for physical activity. 100% agree with you. But all kids need to learn how to throw, jump, run, and kick. If we can do those simple skills, then they can enjoy sports more. But sometimes we don't even teach those simple skills. So they've got no chance of enjoying a sport, because, I was never taught how to run at school. I was never taught how to throw. I got taught how to throw later on. I think when I was 21, it was like, this is the correct. But it's the same with the soft skills that I've been talking about. Communication. Why was that not a subject at school? I had geography. Now I can just look at Google Maps. I don't need to know what the capital of Spain is. But I think there's the soft skills as well. So absolutely. I think, if you can have a well-balanced lifestyle, and in that, physical activity has to be in it, the enjoyment of sport. You don't have to be the best at it, but if you can go out and do an hour a day of, tennis or whatever it may be, running, anything to keep that body fresh. And like we say, healthy body, healthy mind, I think it really applies.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
I like your sign as well. Great sign behind you.
Yeah. Dr. Kishore, sir, was the principal of our institute, Dr. G. Kishore, and he was also the regional director for the Sports Authority of India. So, for your remarks, please.
Congratulations, Mr. Grant, for the excellent session. We are really envy upon New Zealand now. You know why? Because I think it is a country got fully rid of
COVID-19.
Corona. So, we feel that, we should also become like, New Zealand. And maybe one of the reasons you could do is that you have the right, the sports has given its due. And sports New Zealand, and I think they have got a policy that everyone should play. And New Zealand has one of the largest playing population, I think. You have got all major disciplines developed: rugby, basketball, football, and adventure sports, two very famous in New Zealand, other than cricket. And I'm telling that it is paying a lot of attention for development of sports. And the subject which you have taken also is very pivotal at this time, because now the entire world has become a village, and the sports is the classroom to build global citizens. Once the globe has become like a village, so everyone is global citizens, and you should motivate and you should give inputs to everyone to become global citizens. And in India, we have a afterward known as Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam means that the world is one family. That is a Sanskrit slogan from Upanishad. It's Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. The world is one family, and your topic resembles with that. Sports is the classroom to build global citizens. So there is a connection, and I think that would be one of the reasons for why New Zealand is excelling. And you have touched all key points here. And what touched me most is, about your mindset, about growth mindset and fixed mindset. So every individual has got these both mindsets, and you have explained and interpreted both the positive and also the negative aspects of a fixed mindset, and also about the growth mindset, and it gives an option, and sports gives room for everyone to get into a growth mindset, and you will learn from failures, and you build your character, you become a leader, you cultivate the right attitude, know what you want to do. All key elements are being focused on that. So I congratulate once again, and I think this was much beneficial to us, and you have touched one of the key areas of the world's concern about molding global citizen and how it could be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kishore sir.
I really like your shirt. I'm going to have to swap shirts when I come over to India next time.
Yeah, thank you, Grant. And it was a wonderful session. I think the thing is, I think for all the participants, I need to tell, because we just put up a mail to him, to Grant, asking if he could spare some of his time, and Grant readily agreed. So I think rarely you come across a sports. So your presence itself showed everything. I don't think even a session was required. Your presence itself made a vast difference, and you've left a legacy for us, because now we all are going to think of how the growth we are going to bring about a change in this. And you are a part of this change. So thank you so much, Grant, for this wonderful session that you've had. And I'm sure all will be looking forward to hear from you. And you definitely request if there are any queries, anything, so that at least you could respond to us. So on behalf of these Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, Hello India, LNCP, and all the members present here, thank you so much, and a salute to you, because I think it should be a standing ovation for you, but a salute to you. And it's so wonderful to know a person so humble and a cricketer. It's something which is unimaginable, unbelievable. So it's so nice. It's more like a friend. It was so nice. I was telling everybody, I was excited yesterday. I said, do you know, this is the way Grant responded. So I don't think I can
unmute and give him a clap.
Thank you so much.
Unmute and clap. Unmute and clap.
Everybody could give a clap for that, Grant. Thank you. And as I said, it's a standing ovation, which I can't. So I think it's a lesson which each one of us to learn from you. And the greatest sport person, being so humble and talks of the character, makes a good citizen, a good human, a great human, is the lesson that you have taught us. Thank you so much, Grant. And I'd like to thank a panelist, Sony. Thank you so much for being a part of with us. We just invited him yesterday. He agreed for it. Sony, thank you so much. I'd like to thank Vijay George. Vijay George, who's one of the coaches here with the Sports Authority of India. I need to thank you, Vijay George. Thank you, Kalpana ma'am. Thank you, Chauhan sir. And also thank Sujit and Dr. G. Kishore. Our principal is very supportive. You just need to put anything for him. And I'm sure, Grant, whatever you said, our principal is going to say that's been practiced for our students too. So I'd like to thank all the participants and the media who are there together, who have made this program a grand success. So thank you so much, and namaste. Namaste.
Thank you, Usha.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Grant. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hey, I just want to, if I can, I just want to thank you for inviting me on here. And I know that Shri has been a big part of it. So
Yes, we do.
it's great. And, I guess if we can, make any sort of impact in India where we're present, then that's great. And I'm really passionate about growing future leaders. I think that sport can help us do that. So there's always a good relationship between India and New Zealand players. I know, very good. In fact, I had a barbecue with UV Chahal, the leg spinner, when he was over here. So yeah, got some good friends over there, and yeah, please give me feedback and any questions that you may have, and hopefully when I'm over there, I can come and visit everyone.
A warm welcome to India and to LNCP. Please do come in here. If ever you come to India, please do not forget this place and do come. Thank you so much, Grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Usha. Thank you, Sujit, and the
Thank you
panelists.
so
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grant. So I'll get in touch with you after that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Bye.